Today we're going to do Kuta Software Algebra 1 factoring trinomials. So this is a trinomial. It has 3 terms. We factor it into 2 binomials. This term and this term have to multiply to be b squared. So no choice, b times b is b squared. Then this term times this term have to be 7. No choice but to say 7 times 1. It can be 1 times 7, it doesn't matter. But then inner plus outer have to be 8b. So 7 times b is 7b plus b times 1 is 1b. It does add up to 8b. And so they're double positive. We are done factoring. Let's try number 2. So to remind you, this has to add to be negative 11 and multiply to be 10. So n times n is n squared. Now these two numbers must multiply to be 10. Two numbers that multiply to be 10 can be 5 and 2 or 10 and 1. Well, 5 and 2 won't add up to 11, but 10 and 1 will. Now we have to choose our signs carefully. They have to multiply to be a positive 10, so it has to be either double positive or double negative. We choose double negative so that negative 10n plus negative 1n would add up to negative 11n. That's how you check, by multiplying the inner and the outer, and they have to add up to negative 11. Let's do number 3. Remember, you need to add to 1m and multiply to negative 90. Let's open our 2 parentheses. M times m would give us m squared. We have to choose 2 numbers to multiply to be negative 90, meaning they're opposites, 1 positive and 1 negative. Now, when you add a positive and a negative, you're going to end up subtracting, and we want to end up positive 1. So we know that 10 times negative 9 would give me negative 90, and it would add up to positive 1. So positive 10 and negative 9. Over here, we need to add to be 4, multiply to be negative 12. N times n is n squared. Let's think of some numbers that multiply to be negative 12. Well, to multiply to get a negative number, 1 must be positive and 1 negative. So we have 3 times 4, but that don't subtract to be a positive 4. How about a 6 and a negative 2? That does multiply to be negative 12, and it will add to positive 4. So positive 6, negative 2. Let's try number 5. N times n is n squared. Add to negative 10, multiply to positive 9. To get a positive 9, your signs have to be double positive or double negative. But if I want to add up to a negative number, they have to be double negative. And 9 times 1. Negative 9 times negative 1 is positive 9, and they will add up to negative 10. Add, multiply. B and B. They're both positive, so it's a double positive. 8 times 8 is 64, and they add up to positive 16. Let's try number 7. M times m is m squared. I need to add to be positive 2, but multiply to be a negative 24. To multiply to get a negative number, you have to have opposite signs. I know that 6 times negative 4 would give me negative 24, and it would add up to 2. So positive 6, negative 4. Over here, add, multiply. X times x. Multiply to be a positive number but add up to negative. I have no choice but to have double negative. Ooh, that's just not even going to work. There are no numbers that will multiply to be a big number as 24 but add up to a small number, negative 4. So that's not possible. So sometimes you cannot factor a trinomial. Let's try number 9. K times k is k squared. I need to add to be negative 13, but multiply to be positive 40. My two choices for signs to get a positive 40 is double positive or double negative. It has to be double negative to add up to a negative number. Two numbers that multiply to be 40 but add up to 13 would be 8 and 5. Try number 10. A times a gives me a squared, double positive, so double positive. And 9 times 2 is 18, and they add up to 11. Let's try here. There's an invisible 1 there. Add to be negative 1, multiply to be negative 56. And times n. So to get a negative number, my signs have to be 1 positive, 1 negative. I know that 7 and 8 would multiply to be 56. But to get negative 56, one of them has to be negative. I need to add up to a negative 1. So the 8 has to be negative. Negative 8 plus positive 7, that would be negative 1. Last one. N times n is n squared. Add to negative 5, multiply to be 6. Again, double negative would multiply to be positive 6. I need to add to negative 5. So negative 3 and negative 2 would do the job.